Welcome to the Boat Shed. My name is John, and this boat behind me is Antidote. And I'm an engineer and a sailor with a dream of fixing up this old boat to go sailing around the world. And I've got a lot of work to do first. Last week we started by installing some new core material up here at the bow. We're going to see how all of this looks, hopefully get to put another layer on here and then test it all out, see how it works. And stick around to the end of the video where we're going to turn a big block of G10 into the core material for the very bow of the boat, the stem head fitting. Okay, the pump is still running, and this has been pulled down to 24 inches of mercury for the entire night, almost 24 hours, and I was able to hold the temperatures up by using some heaters and this blanket to kind of help insulate it. It's important that you don't let the temperature get below 60 degrees for this slow hardener, because it'll actually slow down the reaction. In some cases it can even stop it, so you really want to make sure you're maintaining your temperatures. The fast hardener is okay down to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, but it just still runs too quick. I wanted that open time to be able to get all this together and the bag on, since it's, a new skill for me to be learning. So let's take this blanket off, turn the pump off, see how it all turned out. Well, it feels good. It feels really good. Wow, I haven't had a solid deck in a long time. There's a brace right here, so this would have been squishy before. And it feels really good now. This is very encouraging. So let's get the bag off all the way and see what we think. In fact, I'm gonna walk on this. Oops, sorry, fiberglass. Wow, that is a fun sensation. Where this used to be very flexible, it feels really stiff underfoot now. I think I'm just gonna get rid of this bag. It's been through 2 iterations and it was never really quite right. The breather fabric is in great shape. We'll probably reuse that. Just gonna roll it up. And possibly the same for the release fabric. Something that I'm glad to see is all these little holes of resin that kind of rose up. And the ones that I drilled in the Kusa, same thing. And it looks like around the edges too, we've got good squeeze out. Some of them are perfect, but we'll probably just do a little light sanding everywhere to fair this in pretty nicely. Should be good. I think happy here is an understatement. I feel really good about this. Awesome. Little high spot here. There's gonna be a little tuning required, but pretty good overall. With the first layer complete, we're now ready to start working on the second layer. Now, if you're interested to hear more details about all the steps involved, then I suggest you check out this video, as long as you promise to come back here. What I think I'd like to do now is get these parts ready. Let's put on some nice chill music. That sounds good. I'm gonna get these parts ready. You guys just sit back, relax, maybe grab a drink. Here we go. These next two panels of Kusa are just about ready to go down. We'll template out the side foam pieces and then we'll hopefully get this vacuum down later today. Now, when I was letting in the G10, I made another little operator error here, and I just wanted to chat with you guys really quickly about my recovery process. You may have noticed that the project hasn't been going along at turbo speed. Partly there's lots of reasons for that, but one is that as a recovering perfectionist, sometimes things can take a little longer, and so that's a habit that I'm trying to kick. So everyone, if you're watching this, you get to explore my progression from perfectionism to just high quality, excellent work when it needs to be. So here's another great example, but I used to always say perfect is good enough, and that was kind of tongue-in-cheek, but also sound sort of serious, and it's really limiting. So now I try to say good enough is perfect. Working on it, work in progress. Let me show you what's going on here though. This next panel, you see I have the extra 1.5 inch overlap here, and then this line that I drew was the existing edge, and now the G10 was supposed to be let up a 3/4 inch, and you can see I just put it in right on that edge. I marked it out and off we went. And so we are going to have to take this little guy here, slide her on up. That will go in there, and that's not going to be a problem. That's going to be fine. And then you'll notice that when we do that, now the G10 block is more centered over the old one, which is what I wanted. I wanted to have no really hard edges, so there'd be a transition of size. So, honest moment here. When this happened, my first thought is, oh, I don't want to have to show people on YouTube that I made that mistake, but I'm just going to embrace it. People make mistakes. You've seen me make one before, I know that, maybe a couple. But we need to get this project moving along, and we're just going to live with stuff like this. If it's not going to be a real problem, we're going to live with it. This is going to be no big deal. We'll fill all that with epoxy. The only people that are going to know are me and maybe 4,000 or 5,000 of you. That's not too bad. The second layer is looking really good, and wouldn't you know it, I've already installed it. So let's go see how it looks. This is the second vacuum bag, and you can really see here we've got a lot of squeeze through on the epoxy. The foam is all drilled at 3/4 inch, and you can see the big epoxy push through where those holes are. On this second layer, I also used a perforated peel ply instead of a solid peel ply, and the reason for that is that on the first attempt I wanted the original core to take up as much of that wobbly bottom as possible, so I wanted to maintain all the adhesive below the part if possible to kind of even things out. On the second round I had a pretty nice substrate to start with. After I had sanded it, I wanted this second one to bring the adhesive up through the peel ply, through the release fabric into the breather, so that I'd be able to reduce the amount of resin in that part. What I would do differently next time, I think here, before we even take this apart, is I think I had a couple of things working against me. The resin on this second attempt probably could have been a little more thin. I had it to the consistency almost to peanut butter, but I think something a little lighter, maybe on the ketchup side, would have allowed the resin to move around more. And I think that you'll find when I take this off, there's a couple of spots where I'll need to tune it again because maybe the resin had a hard time pushing through. That's also why I said in my last video that on this Kusa panel, I probably would have drilled more than just every 6 inches. I probably could have drilled in those channels every 1.5 to 2 inches, maybe even more. And that way, when the part compresses and conformed around the bend, it would have allowed the resin to push up through easier. I think we're gonna do really well here. It feels super solid. So let's go ahead and take this off and see what we've got. Stuff's really sticky. Okay, looking inside the bow now, and we've taken the bag off the top. We have the 2 layers of foam here, so 1.5 inches total thickness above this wobbly old bottom skin that's been supported by these braces. I'm wondering now if I can take these out so that we can see if there's any deflection in the deck. I think there will be some, but probably not nearly as much. If it looks good, then I'm going to take these braces out because I want to start scarifying, roughing up, taking all this old gel coat, cracked gel coat off so that we can eventually address this, and it'll just be easier to do that now. The long-term goal here is to take this bulkhead out. And so once I do that, then I'm gonna have to take some of these supports out. So while I have the supports, I wanna be able to lay on my back and clean all that up. It's a big, messy job, but this is the right time to do it. All right, for fun, let's see how much this dial indicator shows deflection when I walk up on that deck. What do you think? Place your bets. So that staysail fitting would be right about here. So there's stepping on it. Oh, bouncing. The total deflection of the deck was less than 1/16 of an inch, 50 thousandths of an inch. So for now, I'm gonna put these braces down below. We'll store them for a little bit. And if I wanna use them again, I always can grab them. But for now, I think we'll be fine without them. We've got a lot of great core material up here in the bow with the Kusa and the foam, some G10. This is where the stem head fitting is gonna mount. It's a big stainless monster. I wanna make sure that the 4 mounting bolts that hold it here to the deck have a lot of strength in them. So we've taken out all the rotten plywood, and if you remember from a previous video, we're gonna put a big block of G10 in here. So it's a really strange shaped pocket. Let's see if we can get this piece cut out to fit in here as best as we can. Here we go. So this is how the piece fits in the bow of the boat. Of course, it's a little weird because that shape's a little bit wonky. So by flipping this over, we get the trace on the piece of G10, and I've marked a couple places where I want here to overhang, so I won't go all the way through. Here it's going to be fully inserted, and then this is the sort of the line to taper it back out. We'll see. This is one of those occasions where you just do the best that you can, and you're thankful for some thickened epoxy to take up the slack. You know, this is not fine joinery here, but the piece will be bolted through the staysail into the deck. It's gonna be super stout. We'll put some glass over top of it as well, so it's gonna more than adequately serve its purpose. All right, well, here's the first attempt. You know, I'm sure it's gonna need some massaging, but that's the basic idea. Let's go see how badly it fits. Okay, well, I can see that it's close, and I can see where I have issues too, so let's start trying to massage it in here. Now this should go in like so. And that feels pretty good. So I think we're gonna leave things here for today. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video, and if you have, it would mean so much to me if you'd hit that like button or leave a comment down below. You can also do both, that's fine with me. I'd like to give a really big thanks to the folks on Patreon. Their support really helps make this channel a possibility and a continued success. For a few bucks a month, you have access to things like behind the scenes content, maybe some early releases. We're gonna continue to do more on that platform. 3 new Patreons to thank this week. Barend is a sailor in the Netherlands, so dankjewel. John and Nancy are in Annapolis, and they enjoy time on the Chesapeake with their Sun Odyssey 439. Looks like they have a great time out there, and from what I hear, they host some pretty amazing parties around the boat show time. So, sorry that I missed this year. Maybe we'll catch you next time. And finally, Dan and Janet Bien are in the Seattle area, and they actually used to own hull number 5, Liberty 458 number 5, which was at the time named Menagerie. Apparently it's in the Great Lakes somewhere now. If you're the new owner of that boat, hit us up in the comments and say hi. But very cool to have Janet and Dan aboard the project as well. Thank you all for your support. If you're interested to learn more about the Patreon group, there will be a link in the description below, or you can go to patreon.com/livingforsail. And if you are new to the channel and you're still watching, then there is a playlist right here that'll help you get caught up from the very start, the very first video of this journey. And if you'd like to subscribe to this channel and are not already, then why not? It's free and it's right here. Hit that up. Thank you so much. See you in the next one.